Hey guys, welcome to Soma Vedic Astrology channel. Today we will look at the story from Karma Vipaka Samhita for Vishakha Nakshatra Pada 1, and in the second half we will understand the themes related to this Pada linked to this story. But before that, please like, share, subscribe to not miss any future updates. Earlier, there used to be a Kshatriya living in a city or nagar named Kapil. He was devoid of Kshatriya dharma and was always engaged in the duties of a Vaishya. By doing business daily with Vaishya deeds and by renouncing his existing duty or dharma, he collected a lot of wealth, and being filled with great greed, he never discussed about his true duty or dharma. He was such a miserly person that he did not even give anything even to his wife or son for use. After a long time had passed like this, he died due to snake bite, and his wife also became similar like husband, that is became a Vaishya. When he is possessed of this knowledge, he gets everything in the same way. Then the messengers of Yamraj put chains on his feet and threw him into a terrible hell for one yuga. One yuga means some lakhs of human years, which basically means a very long time. After suffering the pains of hell for an era, he again attained the womb of a buffalo, then of a bull, and then of a horse. And after this, he got human form again. And the same woman who was his wife earlier got married to him again in the current birth, but he did not have a son. After the first daughter gave birth to a child, she is now unable to conceive and suffers from illness in the body and suffers from fever in the middle of the year. Now, the remedy which is mentioned is to get a kalpa vriksha or a kalpa tree of the size of a thumb made, to get a golden tree of 15 palas made, and have a silver altar of that size made. Establish the tree bearing fruits and flowers there on the Ashtami, Chaturdashi, and Navami days. Worship Mahadev along with his followers in the proper manner at the root of that tree. Perform the worship with fragrant incense sticks as per your capability, and conclude it by worshipping the god of the gods, which is Mahadev. Immerse goddess Parvati and Lord Mahadev, Murti with this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Satatam Namaha. By doing so, one gets a son very soon. All diseases are destroyed, and even a barren woman gets a son. Even a dead child gets a son who lives for a long time. Now, this is the literal translation of the story from Karma Vipak Samhita. But now let us understand the hidden meanings and the depth in this story and how it is linked to Vishakha Nakshatra Pada 1. First of all, let us understand the location which is mentioned in the story, which is a city or a nagar named Kapil. Now, Kapil means something which is reddish brown or tawny or of monkey color. So, cities, places, shops, streets, societies which have the name brown can be considered as locations. Desert like places can also be considered because it has that brown hue, right? Real life locations could be brown city in Michigan, Thar desert, any kind of desert like places. Places like Monkey Points, Monkey City, like Lopburi in Thailand, or portions of a major place or city where majority people have a brown or tawny complexion or reddish brown like hairs can also be the location which might be linked to this pada. Now, the next meaning of Kapil, let's see that. Now, Kapil is also derived from the Maharishi or the great sage Kapila, who was known for his wisdom and spiritual knowledge. Kapila Muni was son of Maharishi Kardam and Devhuti. There was a king named Sagar, Sagar means sea or an ocean, whose Ashwamedha horse was stolen by Lord Indra and was left outside the hermitage of Kapil Muni. At that time, 60,000 sons of King Sagar came in search of that horse and found it in outside of Kapil Muni's hermitage. They assumed that the Kapil Muni to be culprit of stealing the horse and started insulting him, hence disturbing his deep meditative penance. Kapil Muni got angry on the false allegations and burnt all the 60,000 sons to ashes from the fire coming out of Kapil Muni's fiery eyes. When his anger subsided, he told these boys could be rescued only with the help of the water of river Ganga. Bhagirath, the descendant of King Sagar, later brought Ganga goddess on earth in the form of river, and then the sons were rescued. So we can see that themes of false allegations, huge fire related disaster or incidents of burning where a mass number of people are getting affected due to fire can be seen. Deity of Vishaka is also co-ruled by both Indra and Agni, and the story of Kapila Muni, which we just saw, has themes of both Indra, because Indra did that trick due to which the story unfolds, and the burning which is related to Agni. So Kapil is also a form of fire. So cities or places which has significant history or a major past event related to fire can also be linked to this pada. Example is Rome. Locations where temperatures are warm like the warmth of fire can also be locations. The other meaning of Kapila is based on the Kapila river. Kapila river is a river which is also known by the name of Kabini. It is a river in south of India. So areas, regions where this river flows can also be the locations linked to this pada. Example is Vayanand in Kerala, Mysuru in Karnataka. There is another Kapila river located in Maharashtra named after the great sage Kapil Muni, and that is located in Panchavati in Nashik in Maharashtra in India. So these could be probable locations. Apart from this, some real life locations which have the name Kapil can also be linked to this pada. So few examples to be mentioned is Kapila in Sidhpur, Gujarat, India; Kapil village in Jharkhand, India; Kapil Muni temple and surrounding area located in Sagar Island in West Bengal, India; Kapil Dhara waterfall in Amarkantak in Madhya Pradesh, where the Kapil Muni meditated, and which is why the name of the waterfall is Kapil Dhara. Then Kapila Ashram or hermitage in Mithila region in Bihar in India. Kapila Mountain or Kapila Terra in Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh, India. Then Kapilayat or modern day Kalayat in Haryana, India. Kolayat in Rajasthan, India, or Kapila Vastu in Nepal. Okay, Kapila was also a name of the mountain north of the Mahabhadra lake, which is in modern day Kazakhstan. Kapila is also a mountain west of the Sitoda river, which is in modern day Uttarakhand, India. Any places with the keyword Kapil, Kalpavruksha, which means wish fulfilling tree, Kalpataru, can be linked to this pada. Now, this is just for understanding purposes. Do not take it literally. We are just trying to see what kind of locations can be linked to this pada, and this is not an exhaustive list. Now, let us understand the background of the person mentioned in this story. The person is stated to be a Kshatriya. Now, Kshatriya basically is bifurcated into two classes. First is the warrior class, and second is the kingly or the royalty class. Kshatriya means power or government. Kshatriyas are the ones who are in the pursuit of power and authority. A Kshatriya person is an authoritative person with fate of many people in their hands. There are many people following orders of the Kshatriya person. They are known to be brave, courageous, ambitious, fearless, physically strong, known to take decisive actions, aggressive in approach to attain their desired goal. They are bold, highly energetic, have leadership quality, and resist to oppression. They are the ones who have to fight enemies and competitors and to defend one's territory. Okay, fighting court battles could be a modern day version of fight for the land related disputes. All Kshatriyas would be sent to Brahmin's ashram from an early age until they become wholly equipped with required skills and knowledge. From a warrior perspective, they had to learn political skills, mastering weapons such as swords, archery, the art of warfare, horse riding. From a king's perspective, they had to learn how to rule a kingdom, administrative skills, politics, doing justice to the subjects, tactics to defeat the enemy. As we discussed in general about what is really a kshatriya, let us first understand each of the classes. Let us start with the royalty class first, and then let us understand about the warrior kshatriya class. So, talking about the royalty or kingly kshatriya class, we know that there are multiple privileges which can be linked to being a king, right? Which is why everyone desires or gets inspires or wants to be a king. There are many privileges associated when one is a king. King is very much a public figure, is aristocratic, has a royal status. Kings generally have helpers in the form of council of ministers, servants in the royal palaces. King is a position and he is the decision maker, and whose decision is followed and obeyed by various people and subjects and military and the ministers. Basically, it shows a person with power and authority. Kings have access to lot of wealth, gold, money, estate, meaning they are generally an affluent class. Lavish dinners, opulence, over the top dressing sense, wearing high end ornaments, living in luxury palaces, traveling via royal chariots. It is, live life king size, as we say. It's the lifestyle of the kings, which is full of opulence, enjoying comforts in all way possible. But, the king here also has to make sure that one does not become so overly indulgent in the comforts that one forgets to do the kingly duties. Apart from this, the kings are also known to have the recreational and amusement related time for recharging from the hectic kingly duties. Kings should make sure that he does not exploit or misuse the power that is there in his hand by not oppressing the weaker sections of the society. Now, what are the general duties of a Kshatriya king? Being a king is a very responsible position. There are many people dependent on every small decision made by the king. Various duties of the king includes: first is related to wealth and taxes, which means protecting, managing, tracking the royal kingly treasure, which includes land, agricultural produce, gold, ornaments, money, and other royal treasures and resources. Collecting taxes from the citizens and subjects and using it judicially, and not exploiting the citizens and subjects with too many taxes. Second duty is regarding diplomacy. King should know how to resolve conflicts via peace talks and diplomacy, and war should be resorted as a final option when none of the diplomatic talk works. Third is military training. So, duty is to provide adequate resources for the development of physical strength of the military, foot soldiers, and the animals used in the war, which is elephants, horses, etc. The fourth duty is defending the kingdom and the subjects of that kingdom, protecting villagers, citizens, subjects of the kingdom from external or internal threats and enemies. Basically, defending one's kingdom is the duty. The next duty is creation of hierarchical structures. As the territory of the king expands, he has the duty to create processes, setups, and hierarchical structures by appointing one head to each village, who would report, and this head of the villages would report to the council of ministers of the king, and the council of the ministers later reporting to the king. It is basically running a major, multinational corporations where there is a hierarchy maintained, processes set up, right? Or, basically creating a hierarchical structure. The next duty is to think about the welfare of the subjects, working on the welfare of the subjects, especially when extreme conditions arises in the kingdom, such as floods, droughts, forest fires, increased crimes and thefts. So when the subjects are in extreme danger, providing adequate resources such as food, water in events such as drought like, famine like conditions, is another duty. The next duty of the king is welfare of servants, by the servants basically who serve in the palace of the king, by providing them with proper compensation in the form of money and other things. The next duty is uplifting the poor and the weaker sections of the kingdom. He had the duty to support the weaker sections of the society, which is the elderly, widowed, children, homeless, orphans, by providing them a way to have a decent living, giving them a source of livelihood, utensils, clothing, shelters for the homeless, orphanages for the orphans, pensions to the widows, old age pensions, etc., is a duty of the king. The next major duty of the king is to give justice, providing fair justice to the victims by punishing the criminals and culprits who don't follow the law of the land, having a proper judicial system, making arrangements for a proper, respectful life, even for prisoners, punishment even to the ministers of the king if they are proved to be guilty and corrupt. Basically, a fair trial, a fair justice system is what is the duty of the king. The next duty is interstate relations. So, maintaining decent relations with the neighboring kingdoms, creating allies, expansion of territory is all part of the duty of being a king. The next duty is encouraging festivals, cultures, traditions, talents in the kingdom. The next duty is related to religion, where a king also had the duty to honor Vedas, Vedic scriptures, had the duty to donate lands, grains, money to priests and Brahmins for the religious purposes, and hosting religious ceremonies for the welfare of the kingdom with the help of chief priest who is part of his council of ministers. The next major duty of king was to hire the council of ministers, which is, basically has multiple people, and they should be hired based on exceptional skills and talents, because they become a very core team of the king. The council of ministers generally included purohit or chief priest, senapati or military commander, chief queen, astrologers, charioteer or chariot builders, tax collectors, accountants, finance ministers, treasurers, village heads, messengers and secret spies, royal carpenters, poets, writers, scholars, musicians, basically the entertainment department, then military army commanders, wits and advisors, historians. So king generally used to hold meetings and appointments with the council of ministers and consulted with them before taking major decision with regards to the kingdom. Hiring spies to get secret information which will help for the welfare of the kingdom was another duty. The next major duty of the king was to find and marry an appropriate woman who could be the queen of the royal kingdom, providing a royal palace for the queen to stay and to make sure that all her demands are met, giving queen a good life, providing financial protection to the queen, safeguarding the queen from physical threats of enemies by constructing secret exits in the palaces for escape in case of attack, is the duty of a king. Now, the last but not the least duty of the king is procreation related things, to get the next heir or the prince for the kingdom, and then protecting the prince from the threat, because prince are usually endangered as they are the next heir to the royal throne and hence are vulnerable and targeted by all enemies. Preparing the prince with all the skills so that he is capable to be the next king is also the duty of the king. quite a lot of tasks to be a king, isn't it? Definitely, it is a difficult position to be in. Now, why war usually takes place, right? War was generally at that time last option when no other options worked, and war was generally waged to protect the motherland or to protect one's honor. Now, this is all about the royalty class. Now, let us understand the second class in the Kshatriya, which is the warrior class. So, the duty of the warrior is to protect the civilians, prince, king, queen of the kingdom. Duty is to follow the code of ethics of war and not to resort unfair practices while being in the battlefield. Warriors, soldiers had to take extensive physical trainings and training in the military weapons, firearms. They should know the ability to read maps and tactics to be worthy to fight in the battle. Their duty is to be patriotic and to safeguard the interest of the kingdom and not interest of self, and to see to it that they do not betray the kingdom. Even after having the ability to win via physical strength, the duty of a warrior is first to try to settle things via non-violent ways, and using violent way should be the last option. Duty of the warrior was to fight the war and put up a brave fight and not to run away from the war. They have to work together as a team for a common goal. So teamwork for a kshatriya is important. Kshatriya have the duty to obey the military leader and to plan and execute the military missions. Other duties also include patrolling the streets, providing disaster relief to the areas which is suffering from natural calamities, providing medical assistance to the injured fellow soldiers. They should be mentally strong enough to see violence in front of their eyes, should have the ability to adjust to different weathers and environments, and kshatriya should have the sense of honor and ambition to defend the crown. So this is majorly two major classes, which is the royal kingly class and the warrior class, which is part of the kshatriya thing. Now there is something which is important, which is the codes and ethics in war. There was codes and ethics to be followed even in a warlike situation at that time, and if it was not followed, then it was looked down upon, and sometimes the warriors were even punished if they did not follow the code of ethics in war, due to which the person became an outcast at that time from the society. Now, trying to minimize loss of life even in a war should be the first priority for a kshatriya. Not using violence or weapons on weaker people, wounded people, on women, kids, inane civilians, saints, monks, ascetics, or the sick or the diseased people, or person who is asleep, or someone who does not even have weapon to retaliate. War was some part of the code of ethics. Using poison or poison related weapon was also banned from war, like it was part of the code of ethics. Not using unfair practices to win a war and not destroying place of worship was also part of code of ethics at that time of the war. Now, Kshatriya related careers, let us see that. So, that is warriors, soldiers, army, navy, aviation officers, military officers, any protection related fields, could be cyber security, any, not only physical protection, it could be any digital type of protection related fields can also be part of these careers. Land owners and controllers, as we call it as zamindar, administrators, bureaucrats in the government, presidents, prime ministers of countries, organizations, clubs, emperors, kings, royals, rulers of the territories, politicians, leaders, CEOs, and top level heads and top level managers of companies and organizations, the elite class, anyone working for government, or modern day war can be the sports matches, cricket matches, court battles, etc. Now, in the story, it is stated that the person was a Kshatriya, but he has changed his line to become a Vaishya. Vaishya, let us understand about the Vaishya caste now. Now, Vaishya can be majorly divided into two castes, first being a business or a merchant caste, and second being a farmer or creative caste. Let us understand each of this subcaste one by one. Let us see first about the business or merchant caste. A Vaishya person is someone who is in the pursuit of wealth and money. This is a person who is generally known to be very clever, sometimes shrewd, financially literate, knower of how money works, one who understands how economy works, has business acumen, is a risk taker, is hardworking, is frugal, and one who toils day and night to accumulate financial assets and wealth. They usually accumulated wealth via trade, business, merchandise, entrepreneurship, buying and selling various type of items. In old times, they bought and sold goods. Okay, food items like jaggery, rice, juice, oil, grains, animals such as horses, goats, birds, cows, bulls, textiles, metal parts, goods, products, getting right, basically this is what they sold. And there was an exchange of goods and products with gold and money in return, right? So in old times, they usually traveled and migrated to distant places or foreign locations to sell these goods and products, and their income was the profit that they earned via this trade. While traveling to distant lands, they also learned the local languages of the foreign lands for smoother business operations. They had source warehouses where the products and the goods were kept, and when they traveled, they used ox carts in which they had all the produce and items to be sold. In modern day, it could be the trucks and other form of transportation mediums used to transport goods. The richer merchants at that time had even can even hire staff to work for them. However, business is something which is obviously not considered as stable or a steady source of income like a job. It is considered more risky, and one has to experience ups and downs from time to time when being in a business field. In ancient time, a Vaishya or a merchant generally took loans to expand his business. He took loan from goldsmith in exchange of collateral such as gold ornaments, agricultural produce, or unique artistic products. Goldsmith can also be equated to modern day banks, bankers, and the even the goldsmith in current time. Vaishyas or merchants were the ones who had to contribute certain portion of their income as taxes to the king's treasury department, and king can be equated to modern day governments. A Vaishya also had the duty to not be overly greedy and to be part of charitable and philanthropic pursuits and to donate to the weaker sections of the society. Now, the merchant class people had to learn certain important business related skills. Their strength was the practical business skills that they learned rather than the theoretical knowledge based careers or laborious career or physical strength based careers. The business skills that they learned were the negotiation, leadership, communication, social, public speaking related skills, problem solving related skills, finance, resource, inventory management, team management, customer service on how to deal with customers, cracking deals, skills to increase profits and decrease losses, delegation of work, conflict resolution, skills related to production of goods and services, making strategies, forecast on which product will work in the in the market and which product will not work in the market, skills related to how a company or an organization works in general, duties of different departments, revenue, profit, losses, cash flows, maths, arithmetic, accountancy, fast calculation, and knowing what the competitor is doing, and being abreast of the major developments in the business field. All these are the major skills which they had to learn. and be an expert of. Now there was also codes and ethics in business as well to be followed, and if the codes and ethics in the business if was not followed at that time, then it was looked down upon. Okay, so things that were encouraged when doing a business was to do a business with utmost honesty, integrity, fairness, right, and in a righteous manner. Paying one's due taxes to the king or the modern day government was encouraged, and donating portion of their wealth to the weaker sections of the society was encouraged. Things that were looked down upon in ancient time was cheating customers via adulteration of food items or weighing scale scam for selfish intentions. Deceptive tactics to cheat or loot or to fool customers were looked down upon. A bankrupt merchant was also looked down upon. Doing any form of unfair or unethical business practices such as bribery, discrimination of workers, or discrimination of customers, adulteration, financial misconduct, tax evasion, insider trading, worker exploitation, poor working condition or unfair pay for one's staff, termination of workers for no major reason were all looked down upon. Fraudulent accounting, misleading or false advertising and marketing, funds embellishment, environmental pollution, anti competitive practices, cartel fixing prices, abusing one's market position, all of this is looked down upon. Code of conduct and ethics in business was also considered very important at that time. Now Vaishya or merchant class related careers can be any careers linked to commerce or finance related fields, money lenders, landlords, banking field, working in online marketplace portals, door to door merchants, working in stalls in a market, shopkeepers, retailers, wholesalers, kiosk or department store owners, having shops to sell oil, food items, fish, meat, grocery, animals, spices, clothes, etc. Working in a marketplace like scenario, it could be a physical marketplace or a stock exchange kind of a marketplace. Okay, trading could be physical trading via trading items in a shop or trading stocks in a stock market. Business and business management, entrepreneurship and economic ventures, tax collectors, accountants, merchandising, money and resource management. So this was all about the merchant Vaishya caste. The second subcaste here is the farmer caste, farmer Vaishya caste. So a Vaishya basically also means a cow herd. They were also the ones who took care of the kingdom's various animals such as cows, elephants, horses, and their maintenance and upkeep was their responsibility. They raised these animals for because some of them were used in wars, and also for the byproducts like meat, eggs, wool, dairy and other products. A farmer is also a person who produces or creates crops from scratch in the farmlands. They grow crops, fruits, vegetables, rice, grains, livestock such as cattle, seafood, dairy, poultry, etc., etc., for the people of entire kingdom. Farmers basic duty includes crop management, preparing the soil, planting the seeds, cultivation, irrigation, watering the plants, applying fertilizers, pest control, harvesting, taking care of the livestock by feeding them, giving them proper vaccinations, giving hygienic and clean and safe place to stay, maintaining all the farm related equipments and warehouses. Apart from this, the duty of farmer also includes to use sustainable practices to conserve soil fertility and to conserve the environment when producing crops for the benefit of the society. A Vaishya is someone who raises plants, animals, and makes a living out of it. Farming was and is still not an easy job. It is a full outdoor work, quite laborious, intensive, toiling on a day to day basis. time and weather dependent. Market demand of the produce, it is dependent on that as well. And yet, even after putting so much of hard work, the income from the farming is still unstable and unpredictable due to it being hugely weather dependent. Okay, basically it shows a factor of luck is at play here. Solely depending on farm income is not reliable and not sufficient in uh, at that time and even in today's day and age. So generally farm income is not considered as stable source of income, which is why all governments across all the countries in the world have various benefits, exemptions, everything given to the farmers. Farming is not only the done for the purpose of generating income, it has a very bigger purpose to produce food to feed the citizens of the country, which is also very important thing to do for sustaining life on earth, isn't it? Now modern day farming related careers can be working in plant nurseries, greenhouse, vineyards, working in companies making tractors, farming based equipments, running mills, farmland management, food scientist, agriculture engineer, field trips, plant and soil related experts, gardening, renting farmlands for growing crops, for solar power generations, for outdoor wedding ceremonies, or for parties. Now, this was the farmer caste, and the third subcaste here is the creative caste. So, apart from farming, earning money from creative work can also be linked to Vaishyaka. So, musicians, authors, craftsmen, artisans, artistic works such as photography, digital media, creators, script writers, bakers, musicians, metal workers, textile production can also be seen as part of Vaishya caste. Now that we have understood the minor elements of the story, let us understand or dive deeper into the analysis of the story. The Kshatriya was not doing his duty, he renounced his Kshatriya duties, which we discussed previously in the video. Okay, everything related to the Kshatriya. His primary duty was to be a protector and not to run behind money. But events or situations would come in this time period where you will be forced to run behind money, leaving your original duties aside. The main character switched his career line from being a Kshatriya to being a Vaishya. The symbol of Vishakha Nakshatra is forked branch, which means a change in direction in one's life at one point of time. The main character also changed the direction of his life from being a kshatriya to being a merchant or vaishya. This also kind of portrays money minded attitude, ambition to make money and become big in life to such an extent that he completely ignored his original duties of being a kshatriya. Vishakha Nakshatra Pada 1 falls in the Libra zodiac sign, and Libra is the sign of business. Hence, he transitioned into being a Vaishya or a merchant or a businessman and not transitioned into caste such as Shudra or a Brahmin caste. Since he was not a Vaishya from the beginning and he had a transition or switch of career line, it could also mean that the person does not have contacts or initial support for his new line of work or from the business community because he was not part of it since the day one, and and still he manages to succeed despite not having strong contacts or community support because he did not have that contacts. After transitioning, it is stated that he continued doing work related to business daily. So Navamsha is of Aries, so he is passionate, highly energetic to do his work as a businessman. It also shows the single pointed focus and determination of the person to succeed in the goal he has made for himself. It can also turn into an obsession depending on what planet is sitting in this pada. Even after achieving great wealth, his hunger was never satisfied, just like Lord Agni, which is the co deity of Vishakha Nakshatra. He achieves one milestone, then sets other milestones and achieves it. This goes on and on and on. It is stated that he collected a lot of wealth with the help of his business. So we can see that he started achieving all his milestones, goals after he enters into the line of business. Please understand that while I'm mentioning business here, which is the new profession could be any work related to Vaishya caste, as we discussed previously in the video, and more flavors to that profession will be added by the planet and the lordship and in which house it is happening. Okay. Now originally he was a kshatriya, which means he was not traditionally a businessman or a Vaishya, not born in a business family, has no background support to be in this new line of work. But we can see that he was not struggling in the new line of work. Instead, after changing the career line, he worked hard every day, flourished, and became successful by putting hard work and efforts to make his venture successful, even if he had no backing or supporters. It kind of shows the journey of an underdog whom no one considered that, this guy is going to become successful someday. But he's the underdog who eventually succeeds in life and shocks everyone around him. But how much ever wealth he gained, it was never enough for him. He is portrayed to be greedy. So, if afflicted planet sits in this pada, then one might use immoral ways to earn wealth, honor, status in life, depending on which house this combination takes place, to satiate one's greedy nature. He was so much into money making that he completely ignored his original duties of being a Kshatriya, which means being a protector. And ignoring his original duty is something which is looked down upon in the story. While it is understood that he did not protect the subjects of the kingdom and did not do his Kshatriya duties, instead he devised plan to make money from those subjects instead of protecting those subjects. The worst thing was that he did not even try to protect the interest of his own family members. He never even regretted renouncing his own duties. Even after collecting so much wealth, he was miser and did not even support, assist his own family financially. Afflictions to this pada can show childcare neglect, neglecting duties of being a provider, due to which wife has to work to take care of herself, not sharing money with the near and dear ones. His end was due to a snake bite. So ending here can also mean a downfall, right? It does not literally mean death. Okay, so downfall or losses due to snakes, radioactive elements, pollutants, poisoned vessel, or poison could be alcohol or a substance abuse or relationship, depending on which house this combination takes place. Poison could be wrong medical prescriptions, toxins, or downfall or losses due to a snake like person who acted good in front of you but was a snake and backstabbed you from behind. Okay, downfall or losses due to person or planet linked to Aslesha Nakshatra in the natal chart is possible. Wish in Vishakha also means poison. So basically, downfall due to snake bite and poison is what it means. The purushartha or aim of the Vishakha Nakshatra is dharma, which means being righteous and doing one's duty irrespective of whether you gain anything from it or not. But clearly the main character failed to do so. The main character prioritized gaining money over doing his duty, which is looked down upon. Now, the next character in the story is the wife and the son. So the main character was stated to have a wife and a son. In the story we can see that there is no mention of any kind of opposition from the wife when the main character decides to switch the career line. This can be seen in two ways. Now the first meaning is that we can safely assume that the wife did not have any problems of main character switching career lines and could have supported his decision being a dutiful wife. The second meaning can be that we can see that the wife was aware that his original duty was of being a kshatriya, but clearly he renounced it. But the wife did not pointed out that he was wrong in his part, and she let him do things as per his choices, even if it was wrong. But what was the result? Even after the wife supported the husband, irrespective of whether he was right or wrong, it can be seen that the husband did not return the favor and did not look after the wife and the son. Since the main character was so busy in business and work, we can assume that the wife was the one who nourished and acted as a single caretaker of their son. The wife and the son were unable to live a lavish life despite having enough wealth. So, themes of not able to use wealth even after having it can also be seen linked to this pada. The husband neglected them due to miserliness. Now, this can also probably mean that the main character might have had a traumatic and bitter experience in his past with regards to money or lack of money, due to which he is being overly and extremely miser when it comes to spending money, and is not doing any expenses even after accumulating enough wealth. At the end of the story, the wife was shown to take control of her life and entering into work finally. It is stated that the wife acted the same way, which could probably mean that the wife followed the same footsteps of the husband to succeed, in order to succeed, and did not consider whether the path was correct or not. It could also mean that the wife inherited the business and collected wealth in similar fashion as that of the husband by observing his actions. So the profession of the spouse is mentioned to be same as the main character, if not throughout life, but definitely after one point of time. Okay, learning the work from the spouse and eventually starting something in the similar lines. Themes of inheriting business, following footsteps of the role model irrespective of whether it would be moral or not, being extremely miser, especially due to some experience. Themes of ignoring family life due to obsession or addiction to one goal, one habit, which could be interpreted in many ways, right, depending on how the planet is placed. It could be neglecting family due to work, being extremely obsessed with work, neglecting family life due to excessive alcohol addictions or substance abuse addictions. Okay, that can be a theme. Themes of obsession to work to such an extent that one intentionally or unintentionally hurts the near and dear ones in the process. So basically, they are trying to say is the life is in imbalance. The work life and the marital life or family life is not in balance, and one has to work on maintaining a balance in both aspects of the life. Vishakha represents things where two things are together alike, similar in fashion. In the story, husband and wife is shown to have similar careers, but it can also mean a similar hobby or a trait or a quality which is similar in both of them, depending on which house this pada is in the individual's chart. Libra is the sign of partnerships and unions, and afflictions to this pada can cause neglect to partner in one's life. Now, Saturn is exalted in the Libra zodiac sign, which can also be seen in the story that the main character is doing great work. Saturn is the karaka of work and profession. So, main character is doing great work, overcoming obstacles, shining in the line of work which is not even his core strength due to exaltation. Exalted Saturn gave him a strong work ethic, disciplined approach, a relentless drive to achieve goals, ambitions, and gave him a long term stability due to collecting a lot of wealth via work. Saturn represents work and profession, and Libra is the sign of business and partnerships. So, main character's profession eventually aligns to the combination of exalted Saturn. The symbol of Vishakha Nakshatra is also the triumphal archway, which represents achieving success and victory after putting lot of efforts. Okay, exalted Saturn, you have to put in lot of efforts. Exalted Saturn means that the character had to work to create a balance in life, as Libra is the sign of balance and work is represented by Saturn. But afflictions will give challenges to have a proper balance in life, in the balance between work and family life. Now, Sun is debilitated in the Libra zodiac sign. Debilitated Sun is representation of a diminished state of authority, which also can be seen in the story where he originally was a Kshatriya. And as we saw, Kshatriya were the ones who had power and authority. But he could not exercise any form of power and authority due to changing his line of work from Kshatriya to a Vaishya. Debilitated Sun in the sign of relationship and marriage also affected his marital life, and the spouse was unhappy. Sun represents identity. Due to the debilitation of Sun, he could never express his original identity of being a Kshatriya. It is like a royal king who is working in the marketplace, ignoring one's kingly duties, which is literally what is happening in the story. Now, what was the result of his actions? He got the same wife in current birth, but he did not get a son in the current birth. And it is mentioned that he has a daughter, and after a child is born to his daughter, she is unable to conceive and suffers from fever and illness to the body. Now, fever related illness is mentioned, which could be a theme here, right? And the suffering to the main character is an indirect kind of suffering by seeing the pain and suffering of the near and dear ones. If you have this Vishakha Nakshatra Pada 1 in your chart, please do mention your experiences in the comments section. I hope you guys like the video. It takes immense efforts to put out such videos. Please like and support the channel. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.